Okay. In this lecture, I will be covering how to convert from moles to atoms or molecules or particles or formula units, and also how do you convert from atoms, molecules, particles, and formula units back to moles. And so we are going to focus in on Avogadro's number. So in a previous lecture, we discussed that Avogadro's number is 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd, and that is the amount of particles or molecules or atoms or ions in 1 mole of a substance. And so that's going to be the conversion for these practice problems and for your assignment. We are either going to go from moles to atoms or particles, and if that's the case, we're in moles, so then 1 mole will go on the bottom, and then Avogadro's number will go on top. If we're in particles, molecules, or atoms, that means we got to go the other way. So because we're in that unit, then Avogadro's number goes on the bottom and 1 mole will go on top. And then you punch it in your calculator and then you'll end up with moles. So let's do these practice problems. So how many moles of silver, Ag, are in 3.01 times 10 to the 23rd atoms of silver? So we're going to start with what we are given, and I'm going to apologize in advance for my penmanship on the mouse pad. 10 to the 23rd. That's actually not bad. Okay, atoms. Of Ag. And then we're going to set up the conversion factor. So we are going from atoms to moles. Our unit is atoms. That's where you're going to stick Avogadro's number. The 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd. Atoms. All right, that is equivalent to 1 mole. So I think the difficult part is typing it into a calculator. So I'm going to type in 3.01 times 10 to the 23rd times 1 divided by Avogadro's. So I'm going to hit divide, parenthesis, key 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd. All right, I'm going to get a number that's 0.4998. Okay, so now we got sig figs. So we are going to go to 3 sig figs. 1, 2, 3. Can I round up? Yep. So really my answer is 0.500. And the units, atoms cancel out, is going to be moles of silver. So if I counted out 3.01 times 10 to the 23rd atoms of silver, I would have half a mole of silver, 0.5 moles. Okay, moving on. How many moles of tin are in 2,500 atoms of tin? So not a lot of atoms here. So start with what you're given. 2,500 atoms. Set up my conversion. So because I'm in atoms, that means Avogadro's is going to go on the bottom. 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd. Atoms. Okay, that is equivalent to 1 mole. So I'm going to type in 2,500 divided by Avogadro's, parenthesis 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd, end of parenthesis. Okay, here's a really small number. 4.151 times 10 to the negative 21. Okay, so now we gotta go to sigs. 2 sig figs. 4 point, can I round? Yes, I can. So 4.2 times 10 to the negative 21. and the unit is moles. Okay, how many moles of lead are in 1.50 times 10 to the 12th atoms of lead? So 1.50 times 10 to the 12th. That's a times sign, not a plus. Atoms. Sorry that I'm not right in lead or tin. It's just, this penmanship is just not ideal. Okay, so because I'm in atoms, Avogadro's is going to go on the bottom. 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd. Is equivalent to 1 mole. All right, now we can punch it in our calculator. 1.5 times 10 to the 12th divided by Avogadro, 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd. And then I get 2.490. So I'm just going to leave it because I'm looking at my SIGs here and I don't want to rewrite this again. 2.49 times 10 to the negative 12. And the unit is moles. Okay, so that's going from atoms to moles. So now we're going to go the opposite way, moles to atoms. So how many atoms of aluminum are in 2.75 moles of aluminum? So I'm going to start with 2.75 moles. All right, I'm going to set up my conversion factor. I'm in moles, so the conversion is 1 mole is equivalent to Avogadro's number, 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd. Atoms. Okay, so punch in the calculator, 2.75 times Avogadro's number, 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd. 1.656, how many sig figs? 3. So 1.656, I'm going to round it to 1.66 times 10 to the 24th. And 4, and that is atoms of aluminium or aluminum. All right, how many atoms of iron are in 5 moles? 5.0 moles. So you start with what you're given, 5.00 moles of Fe. Set up the conversion factor. I'm in moles, so 1 mole will go on the bottom. Avogadro's goes on top. 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd. Okay, punch it in. 5.00 times Avogadro's number. 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd. 3.011. So how many sig figs here? 3. 3.01 times 10 to the 24th. Atoms. All right, the final one. How many atoms of cobalt are in a 3.5 gram, or 3.5 moles? So 3.5 moles of cobalt. Set up my conversion. 1 mole is equivalent to Avogadro's 6.022 times 10. That's a plus sign. I mean a multiplication sign. Atoms. Yeah, I just made it worse. Okay, So 3.5 times Avogadro, 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd. I get 2.1077. So we have 2 sig figs, 2.1077. Well, that just means my answer will be 2.1 times 10 to the 24th. Atoms. All right, so that's going from atoms to moles and moles to atoms. And then the next time I see you, we will talk about going from grams to moles to atoms and atoms to moles to grams. So that's going to set up 2 conversion factors. So everything we've done so far is just one conversion factor. Moles to atoms, atoms to moles, or moles to grams, grams to moles. All right, bring your questions if you have them.